The sea was calm that night. The moon lay on the water like silver cloth. It looked peaceful, like nothing bad could happen there. But under the waves, a mother mermaid held her 3 daughters close. Her long hair floated around her like dark clouds. Her heart beat fast like a drum. "Be quiet, my babies," she whispered. "Do not move." They hid between sharp rocks, hiding from the shadows above. The mother knew the hunters were coming. She had heard their boats cutting the water. She had seen their lanterns swinging like angry eyes. The humans were poor, but their hearts were hungry for gold. And gold lived in the flesh of mermaids. For many years, humans had hunted mermaids. They said, "Mermaids are not people. They are fish." They killed them for meat. They sold their tails in markets far away. Rich men paid much money to eat the soft flesh of mermaids. Witch doctors gave hunters strong charms, magic nets, and sharp harpoons. For this, the sea had turned red many times. The mother had seen it before. She had seen mothers cry until the water tasted like salt and blood. She had seen hunters laugh as they cut tails and packed bodies in cold boxes. And now they were coming. For her, she looked at her 3 daughters. The oldest was called Sayu. She was just big enough to swim fast. The other 2 were still small. Their tails were short. Their eyes were full of fear and questions. They did not understand why they had to hide. They did not know why humans hated them so much. "Stay still," Mother said again, holding them tight. But it was too late. A net fell from above. It was big and heavy, with iron weights and black charms tied to its ropes. It fell like a dark storm. The mother pushed her daughters away. "Swim, swim fast," she screamed. The water broke with bubbles and fear. Sayu twisted and kicked with all her strength. She slipped past the edge of the net. Her heart was on fire. She looked back and saw her mother's arms pulling, fighting, struggling. The 2 little sisters were trapped inside, crying. Their small hands held their mother's hair, their voices screaming in the deep water. The mother fought like a lioness. She bit the ropes, twisted, and pulled. But the net was too strong. Above, the hunters shouted with loud voices. Lantern light cut through the water like knives. A harpoon shot down and struck the mother's side. Blood spread in the water like smoke. Pain tore her body, but she held her daughters close. "Please," she cried in a voice the hunters could not hear. "They are babies." But the men only laughed. "Babies bring more gold," one of them said. The net jerked upward, pulling the mother and her daughters to the surface. Foam splashed. The night smelled of salt and death. The hunters dragged them into the boat. The little ones screamed for their mother. "Mama, Mama." Their small fingers reached for her as the men pulled them apart. Sayu floated far away in the dark. She saw it all. She saw her sisters ripped from her mother's arms. She saw the blades flash under the moon. She heard the laughter and the crying mixed together. Then she saw her mother go still. Her song ended in silence. The sea was calm again, but it was full of blood. And in that dark water, a little mermaid child made a promise in her heart. "One day, the hunters will pay." Many seasons passed after that night. The sea forgot nothing. The waves still whispered the names of the dead. But life in the deep changed. The mermaids no longer sang. They no longer danced near the moonlight. They lived like shadows, hiding in dark caves under the sea. Fear was their food. Silence was their blanket. Sayu was no longer a small child. She had grown tall and strong, but her heart carried heavy pain. She still remembered the blood in the water. She still heard her sisters cry in her dreams. And every time she closed her eyes, she saw her mother's last look, full of love, full of pain. The elders told them stories every night. Stories of old times when the sea was full of joy. Times when mermaids swam free and the ocean was safe. But those stories felt like lies now. The hunters had stolen their peace. Their nets had stolen their songs. Sayu sat in the dark cave, listening to the crying of little ones. There were many orphans now, children without mothers, mothers without children. Some had lost fathers too. Every time the hunters came, they left pain behind. The elders said, "We must stay hidden. We must be quiet. The humans are too strong." But Sayu's heart burned. She was tired of hiding, tired of fear, tired of waiting for death. She swam alone to the deep rocks, far from the others, and whispered, "To the sea, why do you let this happen? Why do you let them kill us?" The sea gave no answer, but the waves moved like they understood her anger. One day the scouts returned with bad news. The humans had grown bolder. They no longer hunted. Far away, they were now close to the caves. The hunters had new boats, bigger nets, and stronger charms. They paid witch doctors to make magic ropes that no mermaid could break. The elders gathered, their voices shook like dry leaves. "We will hide deeper," they said. "We will pray to the ocean spirit for mercy." Sui spoke for the first time in front of them all. Her voice was steady like stone. "Hiding will not save us. The hunters will never stop. They will come for us again. They will kill our children. They will turn the ocean into a grave." The elders looked at her with fear. "Do not speak like that," one of them said. "If you fight the humans, you will bring death to us all." But Sui did not bow her head. She looked at the little ones sitting in the corner, their eyes full of tears. She remembered the faces of her sisters, remembered her mother's blood. Her voice rose like a wave. "If we do nothing, we are already dead." That night, Sayu swam to the old trench, a place no one dared to go. They said it was cursed. They said the spirits of the deep slept there, spirits older than time. But Sayu was not afraid. She wanted power not for herself, but for her people. She sat on a stone in the black water. Her hand shook, but her heart was strong. She began to sing not the songs of old joy, but a song of pain and rage. A song that called to the spirits who ruled the sea before humans walked the land. The water trembled. The deep roared like a beast waking from sleep. The ocean heard her cry. Far above, the hunters were ready. Their boats waited under the moon, nets glowing with red magic. They laughed, thinking the night would bring them more gold. But the sea had heard enough. And Sayu had made a promise. The night came, red like fire. The moon rose big and round, but its light was strange. It looked like blood. The ocean felt heavy, full of whispers and warning. Every mermaid in the cave knew something was wrong. Mothers held their babies close. The elders prayed to the ocean spirit, their voices low and shaking. Then they heard the sound of drums. Not ocean drums, not the song of waves. These were the drums of humans beating on wooden boats, coming closer and closer. The hunters were here. Sue stood at the mouth of the cave, her eyes sharp like spears. She had warned them. She had told them this day would come. Now it was here. The sea smelled of smoke and charms. She could see the glow of lanterns above. The hunters' voices cut through the night like knives. "Throw the nets. Bring them out." One shouted. The mermaids inside began to cry. The little ones screamed and clung to their mothers. The elders whispered, "Hide. Go deep." But Sayu knew it was too late. The magic nets would find them. Hiding would not save them anymore. The first net fell with a roar. It was not like the old nets. This one burned with red light. Strange. Signs moved on the ropes like crawling snakes. It hit the water hard and sank fast. The mermaids scattered like birds in a storm, but the net moved like a living thing. It wrapped around the first group of scouts and pulled them up. Their tails thrashed, their voices begged for mercy. Blood spilled into the water as harpoons struck. The hunters laughed from above. "We will be rich tonight," one man shouted. "The market will pay double for these." Sayu's heart burned like fire. She saw her people dragged screaming into the boats. She saw children crying as ropes cut their skin. She saw mothers faint with fear, and deep inside something broke. She could not watch any more. She could not let the sea fill with more blood. She swam forward, out of the cave, her tail slicing through the dark water. The hunters did not see her yet. She looked at the glowing net and the faces of her people. They looked at her too, their eyes full of pain and hopelessness. And then Sio spoke not with her mouth, but with her heart. Her voice rolled through the water like thunder. Spirits of the deep, hear me now. The ocean shook. The waves rose. High. The boats rocked as if the sea had grown angry. The hunters cursed and grabbed their ropes, but it was too late. The old trench had awakened Dot. From the black deep came a sound older than time, sound that made the water shake like drums of war. The ocean roared like a lion. The hunters' faces turned pale. What is that? One man cried. Sayu began to sing the song of tides. Her voice was not soft anymore. It was sharp like a storm wind. It called the power of the deep, the power humans had forgotten. The sea heard her cry and answered. The waves rose like mountains. The sky broke with lightning. The hunters' boats jumped like toys on the angry water. The nets burned and tore. The mermaids inside slipped free, their tails flashing in the storm. But the ocean was not done. Long arms of seaweed twisted up from the deep like snakes. They wrapped around the boats. They pulled them down into the black mouth of the ocean. The hunters screamed, their voices lost in the storm. Their gold fell like rain. Their lanterns sank like dying stars. The sea was taking back what was stolen, and in the middle of the storm Sayu swam like a queen. Her hair flowed like fire in the dark. Her eyes burned with power and pain. She had kept her promise. The ocean belonged to them. Again. The storm did not stop until the last boat was gone. The waves rolled high, roaring like wild beasts. Lightning danced across the sky. The ocean had become a judge, and the hunters had no place to hide. One by one, the boats broke like dry wood. The sea pulled them down into its cold belly. The screams of men faded into the deep until there was only silence. When the water finally calmed, the moon came out again. It shone on a sea that looked clean, but it carried the memory of blood and greed. Floating on the waves were only pieces of broken wood, empty lanterns, and gold coins sinking into the dark. Sayu rose slowly from the depths. Her body shook, not from fear, but from the weight of what she had done. Around her, the surviving mermaids swam out of the caves. They moved carefully, their eyes wide with wonder and hope. For the first time in many seasons, they were not running. They were free. The little ones clung to their mothers, whispering, "Is it over? Are the hunters gone?" The elders looked at Sayu with eyes that were full of questions and something to respect. The same elders who once told her, "Do not fight," now bowed their heads low. Sue floated above the coral rocks, her hair flowing like black fire in the water. She felt the spirit of the ocean moving inside her, strong like the heartbeat of the earth. She spoke softly, but her voice carried through the deep. No more nets. No more blood. The ocean belongs to us again. The mermaids cried, but these were tears of joy. They sang for the first time in years, their voices rising like silver smoke through the water. It was not a song of fear, but a song of freedom. The sea listened and kept their song safe in its heart, far away. In the coastal towns, people waited for the hunters to return. They waited for gold, for meat, for trophies. But the boats never came back. The sea had swallowed greed. The black markets grew silent. The witch doctors who gave charms saw their power fade like ash in the rain. And in time, the humans whispered stories about a great storm that ate men alive. Stories about the sea that punished those who hunted its children. Years passed and no hunter dared to throw a net again. The ocean was feared. The mermaids became legends, told in low voices by firesides. Some said they were demons. Some said they were spirits of the drowned. But the truth lived only in the deep, where the mermaids swam free. Sayu never forgot her. Mother or her two sisters. Their faces lived in her heart like light in dark water. Sometimes she swam to the trench and sang their names. The sea answered with soft waves like a mother's touch. And every time she whispered the same words, I kept my promise. The little ones grew strong, the ocean filled with laughter again. Fish danced in clear blue water. The mermaids braided their hair with shells and sang to the moon without fear. The world below the waves was alive again, but the mermaids never forgot the lesson of blood. They taught their children the old law: respect the ocean, respect life. For greed will always bring death. And so the story lived, carried by waves. From one generation to another, humans called it a myth, but the sea knew the truth. It had seen what happens when hunger blinds the heart. The ocean keeps its secrets, and it keeps its promises.